Mr. President, I rise to speak about the Water Resources Development Act that we'll be voting on very shortly on the cloture motion. I strongly support moving forward with this legislation and the support by this body of that important work. I want to begin by thanking Chairman Barrasso and Ranking Member Carper and Senator Inhofe for their great work on this bill. In the Environment and Public Works Committee, we have the leadership of Senator Barrasso and Senator Carper, and on the subcommittee that deals with infrastructure, I work with Senator Inhofe. And the four of us have worked very closely, and I think the best traditions of the Environment and Public Works Committee and the United States Senate to bring forward legislation that really does represent the priorities of all 100 members of the United States Senate. I want to acknowledge from the beginning the amount of work that was done in order to accomplish this. And it was done in great measure by incredibly gifted staff people who have been working for a long period of time in order to bring this bill to completion. Obviously, there are rough edges, there are problems, it requires a lot of negotiations, and I know that Senator Barrasso, Senator Carper, and Senator Inhofe would agree with me that about the importance of our staff work. I want to acknowledge Mae Stevens of my staff for the work that she has done on this legislation in advancing the priorities that are important for the people of Maryland and to make sure that we have a well-balanced bill for our country. As I think my colleagues know, the focal point of my environmental work has been to restore and protect the Chesapeake Bay, which is considered to be one of America's greatest natural resources and a national treasure. The Chesapeake Bay is the nation's largest estuary. It generates $1 trillion in economic benefit to the watershed region. So it's critically important for who we are as a region, the Chesapeake Bay, the quality of life, our economy, and its rich environmental treasures. The shoreline of the Chesapeake Bay and its tidal tributaries stretch for over 2,000 miles, more than 100,000 streams and rivers, and thousands of acres of wetland provide the fresh water that flows into the Chesapeake Bay. If we do not protect the health of this incredible network of waters, we cannot hope to restore the Chesapeake Bay to its former glory. Additionally, the effort to clean up and restore the Bay create new jobs and economic growth opportunities around the Bay States. For example, work to repair and upgrade our urban and suburban wastewater and stormwater systems put people to work as engineers and operators, and so many more jobs that are created. Though we are making great strides in improving the quality of the Chesapeake Bay, and I'm very pleased at the progress that we have made. I think you see that when you visit the Inner Harbor of Baltimore or when you visit our shorelines, we still have a long way to go. America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 supports the health of the Chesapeake Bay, and doing so helps our nation's economic competitiveness, our environment, and the health and welfare of our citizens. In particular, I am pleased that America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 will help with both Poplar Island and Mid-Bay projects continue, which is a win-win for both the Baltimore Harbor and Chesapeake Bay. Both of these projects are located in the state of Maryland. Both are critically important for us to maintain the environment and economy of the Chesapeake Bay. I have seen firsthand the results of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering's efforts around the state. The Corps' ingenuity and expertise has spearheaded the replenishment and expansion of Poplar Island in the Chesapeake Bay. This massive sustainability project is quite literally bringing life to our region, restoring a habitat which for years suffered from erosion and environmental degradation. Mr. President, what these projects do right now on Poplar Island is that we're taking an island that used to exist in the Chesapeake Bay that had been down to just a few acres and restoring it as an environmental restoration project, bringing back wildlife and species diversification in the Chesapeake Bay. But at the same time, it's a location for where we can put dredge material. I can tell you, having been in Congress, it's not always easy to find locations where you can put dredge materials. Poplar Island is also popular with the community. So it's been a win-win-win situation. The expansion of the island now to 1,715 acres has the long-term benefit of creating a place for our native plants and animals to thrive, and the short-term benefit of efficiently utilizing dredge materials from the maintenance of the Port of Baltimore to build the island beyond its original footprint. So we're now back up to over 1,700 acres from just a few acres that existed not too many years ago. This creates a system which helps improve the vitality of both our treasured ecosystem and our commercial waterways and sets a precedent for beneficial practices in the future. The Army Corps has collaborated with federal and state agencies, local communities, and businesses for input on this project, ensuring that its benefits will extend to all within the region. The Mid-Bay project is a continuation of the very successful Poplar Island project, and I'm pleased that both projects are supported in this bill. Poplar Island will reach capacity in the next few years, and that's how we planned on it. But in order to be able to make sure we have another site that's available, we have to move that project now so that the planning process can be completed in time and engineering work can be completed in time so there is no loss of activity in keeping the harbors at the needed dredge levels for shipping and have a site where the dredge material can be located. That's why it was so critically important to move forward with Mid-Bay now. We need policies that will keep us up with the demand of our infrastructure backlog while addressing the needs of our communities and our environment. We can and we must do both. I am pleased that the America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 would help projects in the Anacostia River watershed in Prince George's County get off the ground. This is the third WRDA bill, Water Resources Development Act, in a row. Congress is including updates to our nation's drinking water, wastewater, and storm water infrastructure, including much-needed funding. The American Society of Civil Engineers has yet again given our drinking water and wastewater a grade of D for 2016 and states that we need $32.75 billion a year, every year for the next 20 years, just to get our infrastructure in working order. That's more than $1 trillion. Yet we are only spending about $2 billion per year on both the clean water and drinking water state revolving funds. Every community in urban, rural, and suburban neighborhoods has a right to expect that water coming from their tap is safe to drink, and that Congress will do everything within its power to ensure that happens. Clean water means good jobs and better health throughout Maryland and our nation. Clean water is not a partisan issue, and I have been proud to work with my colleagues to develop legislation that will benefit our aging water resources and infrastructure. Congress has the responsibility to be a strong partner with states and locales to repair our nation's hidden water infrastructure and open waterways, and to always remain unwavering in our commitment to improve the Chesapeake Bay watershed. One of the problems is that a lot of our water infrastructure is hidden. You don't see it, but you sure do notice it if you don't get clean water to drink, and you sure notice it when it affects the water quality of the bay or other critical waters in this country. We really need to pay attention to this. We need to increase our capacity to be a partner in modernizing our water infrastructure, and this legislation absolutely takes a major step forward in carrying out that commitment. So, Mr. President, let me talk about some of the specific provisions that are included in this act. First, the bill includes S. 1137, the Clean, Safe, Reliable Water Infrastructure Act, introduced by myself and Senator Bozeman, Inhofe, and Duckworth, which addresses the need to invest in our nation's drinking water, sewer, and stormwater systems, and to provide for increased water efficiency. The Clean, Safe, Reliable Water Infrastructure Act specifically includes $450 million to protect the sources of our drinking water and the funding to repair and eliminate combined sewer overflows, which dump raw sewage into our nation's waterways every time it rains. This is especially timely as the Mid-Atlantic region has seen historic precipitation events increasingly in the last decade. These 100 or 1,000-year events cause wastewater treatment plants to take on more water than they can handle. Millions of gallons of untreated water are diverted into our local waterways, the same water that supplies our drinking water and the fish, crabs, oysters Marylanders love to eat. In fact, there was a storm so massive in Frederick, Maryland, just a few months ago, the city officials asked residents to stop using their water in order to prevent equipment failure at the wastewater treatment plant. This is a crisis situation. This $450 million will go far towards helping divert stormwater away from the wastewater treatment plants in Frederick and those like it all over the state of Maryland and our nation. The Clean, Safe, Reliable Water Infrastructure Act also formally authorizes the voluntary Water Sense program, which identifies and promotes water-efficient products through voluntary labeling. The Water Sense label makes it simple to find water-efficient products, new homes, and programs that meet EPA's criteria for efficiency and performance. Water Sense labeled products and services are certified to use at least 20% less water, save energy, and perform as well as or better than regular models. The program should help individuals reduce their water demand while protecting water quality. Mr. President, this benefits all of us. We save water, we save energy, we can save costs. EPA's Water Sense program partners with manufacturers, retailers and distributors, home builders, irrigation professionals, and utilities to bring efficient products and services to our communities, and their partnerships encourage innovation in manufacturing and support sustainable jobs for American workers. Secondly, the WRDA bill creates a multi-agency federal task force to study the problem of funding and financing stormwater infrastructure. The task force will, with the feedback from state and local governments and other program stakeholders, provide a report to Congress suggesting for improving the funding and financing of stormwater systems, especially important as Maryland sees more frequent and severe storms like the deadly floods in Ellicott City 22 months apart. I've already spoken on the Senate floor about what happened in Ellicott City, Maryland. Within 20 months, we had two 1,000-year floods. And Mr. President, these floods were unprecedented. What do I mean by that? We've had flooding in Ellicott City before because of the water rises in the river that go through Ellicott City. These are the first floods we've had as a result of the stormwater runoff that literally ran down the main streets of Ellicott City, destroying homes and costing people their lives. We need to deal with this. Stormwater pollution is not only an urgent and deadly threat, but a long-term one as well. Stormwater pollution is the fastest growing source of pollution in the Chesapeake Bay. Yes, we talk about our farmers, and we have to do better for our farmers. We talk about the other problems we have, including the airborne pollutants that go into the bay. But the fastest growing source of the Chesapeake Bay is storm runoff, and that's as a result of more people living in the community. It's a result of more concrete and the result of more severe weather events. Third, the bill addresses the need for information about on-site wastewater recycling as one alternative for communities who cannot afford the upfront costs or ongoing maintenance costs of traditional wastewater infrastructure. This is especially important in rural parts of my state, like Maryland's Eastern Shore. Fourth, the bill includes S451, the Water Resources Research Amendment Act, introduced by myself and Senator Bozeman, which addresses the need for additional research into increasing the effectiveness and efficiencies of new and existing water treatment works. Funding from this program helps support the Maryland Water Resource Research Center in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Maryland College Park. We want to have the latest technology. We want to be the best as far as technology in the world in dealing with our water. This particular provision in this bill will help us achieve those objectives. Fifth, the bill reauthorizes WIFIA, a low-cost financing mechanism for water infrastructure projects. Mr. President, we first started with TIFIA in our transportation bill coming out of the Environment and Public Works Committee, where we found creative ways in order to leverage the federal participation so we can have larger infrastructure projects for roads, transit, and bridges. Now we're doing the same for water infrastructure, and this bill reauthorizes the WIFIA program. Baltimore is on the list to receive one of the very first low-interest WIFIA loans. Baltimore's $200 million loan will complete a set of projects to repair, rehabilitate, replace, and upgrade its wastewater collection and treatment, water treatment and distribution, and stormwater management systems. These projects will help improve the city's sanitary sewer collection system, ensure the reliability and performance of the drinking water and wastewater systems, and improve stormwater management to meet Clean Water Act permit requirements. This will help the 1.8 million people served by the Baltimore Department of Public Works continue to have some of the cleanest, safest, and most reliable drinking water in the country. There's no more fundamental responsibility of government than to make sure that they provide safe drinking water to its population. And sixth, this bill creates the Water Infrastructure Resiliency and Sustainability Program, a bill that I have long championed to help drinking water plants combat the effects of climate change. This program will award grants to increase the resiliency and adaptability of water systems, increasingly severe storms and droughts, as well as sea level rise, all caused by climate change. Water utilities can use the grants to assist in the planning, design, construction, implementation, operation, or maintenance of the plant, really anything they need to increase their climate preparedness. Mr. President, I applaud the great work that has been accomplished through this legislation. I look forward to continuing work to advance water infrastructure investment, including integrated planning and affordability. I said from the beginning that this was a bill that was done in the right process in the United States Senate. Every member of the United States Senate input was solicited. The committee reached out to all the members, and all the members of our committee have had input into this legislation. It's bipartisan. It's fiscally responsible, which was a key requirement that we brought into the bill. It will benefit all of our communities. It will help us meet our fundamental commitment to provide the citizens of this nation clean, safe drinking water. It will deal with the challenges we have in storm runoff as it deals with environmental challenges that we have. It's a well-balanced bill. And once again, I applaud the leadership of Senator Brasso and Carper and my colleague on the subcommittee, Senator Inhofe, for their tremendous work. And I look forward to voting for this bill, and I urge my colleagues to do the same.